Tonight, police charge one of their own in the shooting death of a former college football player. Why the chief says he was forced to arrest one of his officers. This story is breaking tonight in uptown Charlotte, where police just wrapped up a news conference. Tonight, this man, Officer Randall Carrick, has been charged with voluntary manslaughter. Police say he and two other officers responded to a home on Reedy Creek Road this morning in northeast Charlotte. They say a woman called 911 after a man knocked on her door overnight. When police arrived on the scene, they say the victim, 24-year-old Jonathan Farrell, charged them. Police say Carrick fired his gun at Farrell, killing him. Tonight, we have team coverage following these new developments. Eyewitness News reporter Nate Stewart has been talking with Farrell's family, but we begin with Channel 9's Catherine Bilkey, who has the latest on the charges against the officer. Catherine.
Chief Rodney Monroe said the evidence pointed to a voluntary manslaughter charge for Officer Randall Carrick. Now, what that means, it's the killing of another person without malice, and that includes excessive force in self-defense. Tonight, Chief Rodney Monroe solemnly answered the questions neighbors, friends of the victim, and Channel 9 had about the shooting.
Homicide investigators signed warrants for Officer Carrick for the charge of voluntary manslaughter.
It all started at 2:30 in the morning. Police say 24-year-old Jonathan Farrell began knocking loudly on this door in the Bradfield Farm subdivision. The woman who lives here thought it was her husband, and when she opened it and it wasn't, she called for help. But police say Farrell may have also been looking for help after crashing his car. And when it arrived, Chief Monroe said he immediately charged towards 3 officers, and one in particular.
And that officer attempted to retreat, but at the same time fired his weapon.
Detectives determined he used excessive force and did not have the lawful right to discharge his gun.
He is currently in our custody, being processed along with his attorney, and will be then forwarded over to the Sheriff's Department for processing.
We have not talked to the officer, but earlier Chief Monroe said how he felt.
He is pretty shook up behind it. He's devastated behind it.
Now tonight, the 2 other officers involved are on paid administrative leave, which is typical in cases like these. Neither of them fired their guns, but one did try to use his taser, but was unsuccessful, according to police. We're live at CMPD headquarters. Catherine Bilkey, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Catherine, thank you. Continuing our team coverage tonight, we're learning more about the former football player who was shot and killed. Eyewitness News reporter Nate Stewart just spoke with the people who knew Jonathan Farrell best. Nate.
Eric, I spoke with friends and family just about an hour ago about the 24-year-old police say they shot and killed early this morning in northeast Charlotte. They tell me by phone that they're devastated.
I'm obviously shot your daddy.
By phone, friends of 24-year-old Jonathan Farrell say they have a lot of questions surrounding his death. They describe Farrell as a quiet kid who kept to himself. Now, friends and family of the former FAMU football player are on their way to Charlotte. His fiance's mother, Michelle Heidel, told us by phone Jonathan was a good kid.
We loved him. Our family loved him. That's all I got to say.
In a press conference, Police Chief Monroe says his heart goes out to Farrell's family.
It is with a heavy heart, significant regrets that it has come to this.
And Jonathan Farrell was on the Florida A&M University football team for the 2009 and 2010 seasons. A friend of the family tells me that he was planning on getting married next year. Reporting live in Uptown, I'm Nate Stewart, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Nate, thank you. We've been following this story since early this morning. Here are a few of the bullet points of what we've learned. Police say Officer Randall Carrick fired a gun at 24-year-old Jonathan Farrell. Carrick is now charged with voluntary manslaughter. The other 2 officers involved are on administrative leave. Now to other stories we're following tonight. We've learned